Okay, hi, we're live. This is the first live stream I've done for the Indian Classical Guitar Academy here on YouTube. I think it's all set up okay. Right, so just here to answer any questions of anyone who happens to be watching at the moment. I've just done a live stream for some of the members of the Indian Classical Guitar Academy answering their personal questions. And I'm planning to do some recitals as well here on YouTube, some public recitals for doing full rag recitals, playing for a whole hour, going through the alap and the Valambit and Druit, all these different stages of the recital that we do. So I'm looking forward to hopefully going to do one next week, Wednesday next week. So I'm hoping every 2 weeks to do like a live performance. And then every other week between that, I'll just be coming on like now just to say hello and answer any questions. I think I need to switch on my guitar amp actually. Hold on a moment. Okay, so hello, Access Mundi. Thanks for joining. So I'll just do a bit of playing, I guess, just until someone asks me a question or to talk about something. Okay, wonder what rag to play. I've been thinking about rag bageshri recently. A baritone guitar. I've played a baritone guitar once at a studio, and I thought it was really interesting. But just the once. That was a long time ago. But it would be quite fun to play around with one. Yeah, but I can't say much about them because I've only played on just one time. It was like a Dan Electro baritone guitar. It was very nice. So I'll just play a little bit of bageshri, rag bageshri in between any questions. Would I use the same tuning as a Strat? Do you mean on a baritone guitar? I don't even know what baritone guitars are tuned. I think baritone guitars are tuned to E, like tuned standard, but they're just an octave lower or something. So I don't really know. I'd have to see. I love the tuning system that I use here. It was kind of an experiment to see how it would sound. Just having the the Shakir strings, and I always thought it would be good maybe to add an extra string, like add an extra A string. Like I experimented with this guitar, having the two top strings together, and then having the A string as well. But it actually kind of just gets in the way. A lot of the rhythmic stuff. A lot of that stuff is actually better just to be able to strum straight through. So I'm just kind of in love with this. It's so simple and it always seems to work. Rag Telang, so a Carnatic rag. Yeah, I don't really know rag Telang actually. I wouldn't know it well enough to do it justice. Feel free to recommend any others, and I'll see. I might know them a bit better. Have you incorporated your tuning on a double neck? I don't have a double neck, so I'm not sure about that one. Just working at the moment on a new part of the Rag Bageshri course. Rag Bageshri is a really beautiful rag. It's one of my favourites. That's the ascending order. Da, Kumo Ni, Sa, Kumo Ga, Ma, and then Da Ni Sa. These are some of those other notes going down. So that's a really beautiful rag, and I'm just working on some new sections of that course, looking at these really interesting Tihai patterns that my guru Shakir Khan has taught me. These really interesting things like kinds of things, or these kind of numbered patterns, like 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 1 2. Actually, I had the video that just came out on Monday talking about that, but I've got a guitar course that's going to go into more detail, kind of breaking that stuff down. Rag Behag. Yeah, Rag Behag. Yeah, see that's another one. I haven't played that one too much. I'll tell you what, I will consult, if my gurus are not here, I will consult a copy of the Rag Bible, and because I've looked at this rag in the past, but I can't remember right now all of the different parts of the progression. Sorry, it's called the Rag Guide, not the Rag Bible. So I think it's something like Sare Ga Pa Ni on the way up, and then on the way down you can use both Mars. But let me just give you guys an idea. Behag. Yeah, so it's Sa Ga Ma Pa Ni Sa on the way up. So let's just play through this. Ooh, there's an interesting note. Okay, so Rag Behag. So Sa Ga Ma Pa Ni Sa on the way up, and then on the way down there's different variations, but so Sa Ni Da Pa, and then you can use the Tivra Ma, the sharp 4, and then Ga Ma back to the Shud Ga, then back to Re. There's different variations. So different variations there. So this is an interesting, a different rag, but I haven't had proper training in that rag. There's so many different rags to get through. But you could start to do things with that, just in terms of combinations. Yeah, so it's... So that Gamma Ray Sa is a nice combination. You hear that in a lot of different rags. Guitar's a bit out of tune. Yeah, the Tivra Ma is really nice, isn't it? When you're coming down like that. Put the book down now. See, it's the thing. You always have to be humbled when you come on here, because there's so many rags, and I'm not an encyclopedia. I play guitar, and I've been playing guitar for a long time and doing Indian classical music, but so much of what I've been working on over the last few years is with my gurus is a small family of rags, and then exploring as many different avenues within that as we can. So there's always more to do. But the first thing that I would do, this is probably quite a good thing to do in front of you guys, because when you first start learning a rag, the best thing that you can do, the best preparation, is just simply looking at the ascending and descending order. missed out a note there. So sa ga ma pa ni sa, sa ni da pa ma ga ma re sa, or sa ni da pa ma pa ga ma ga re sa. And then just seeing what kind of combinations that you can get out of that. To really understand the phrasing at a deeper level, you need to listen to lots of recordings, and then ideally, if you can access a teacher, then you can look at all the different phrasing considerations within that. But you can do a lot just by looking at things like, right, if I've got sa ga ma pa ni sa, then I can see what are the different number combinations I can do with that. So like. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then coming down like. So ni sa ni da pa ma pa ga ma re sa. So it's often accepted that you can do that kind of looping down the structure. But being more delicate, maybe things like. So I'm really there just trying to think about the nuances of going up and down, but trying to keep with that structure. So there's a lot of different things. There would be a whole new process to make sure that I had the right sense of phrasing within that. But a lot of the time with the ascending and descending order, you can use it when you're looking at it as rhythmic playing. You can just navigate around the different combinations that are available within that ascent and descent. And then to be more serious and more in depth about the rag, you need to have someone who knows the rag very, very well to tell you how that really works and how the phrasing should be put together. But if you know the structure of it, then you've got off to a really good start. So yeah, do I play fingerstyle without a pick? I used to. I was just talking about that. I just gave a private live stream to the members of the academy. I used to do more fingerstyle. I'll try and do a bit now because I've been doing a bit more recently. I just need to mute my. Yeah, I just need to mute my amp because that's a bit buzzy, that guitar. So I haven't really done any fingerstyle for a long time. Apart from yesterday, I had to answer a question about this because I made an album a few years ago called Loose Satana. The whole album is on my YouTube channel a way back last year. I put it out, just the whole album. So I was doing these kind of compositions with the classical guitar, and it's not really the classical style of proper finger style where you can really alternate the fingers like. Because I'm really bad at that. Never really felt very natural or appealing to me. But I was doing more of this kind of. A bit more like kind of Wes Montgomery. And then using the fingers when I needed to kind of add in the different notes of the arpeggios. But I'm a terrible fingerstyle guitar player because I just don't really play it anymore. It used to be okay. I kind of had my own way of doing it, but it's something that I've really neglected. Particularly, I mean, I haven't really played much fingerstyle since kind of 2015. And then since about 2017, I just decided, right, I'm just going to focus on Indian classical music and just playing in the key of D and just doing everything in this style. So I kind of stopped even thinking much about chords and worrying too much about all my modal theory and all of that kind of stuff, because I was trying to juggle all these different things at once. And I even didn't worry about playing the sitar too much. I thought, I'm just going to focus on the guitar and Indian classical music, and then that brought me to playing with musicians like Manish Pingle. I think I do the slide guitar player. I'd already met him at that point. Once I met him and had the opportunity to play with him, then I thought, right, I'm just going to lock down now and just only do guitar, just only do electric guitar for Indian classical music, and just focus on that. And that's kind of led me to then making this channel much more focused. I'm just going to unmute my amp again. So someone's asking about scalloped frets. Yeah, I've got scalloped frets on this acoustic guitar, and it definitely helps with the string bending. Ideally, I'd have scalloped frets on the electric as well, because you can get a better kind of grip on the string, and as you're bending the string, you're also going to be sort of ever so slightly, you'll be pushing into the neck a little bit as well. Even if you didn't intend to, you'd naturally be kind of pushing in, and that will kind of increase the pitch that you're bending to. So a lot of these things would be a lot more comfortable if it was scalloped, because what you often find that happens is when you bend, if you're not careful, I kind of grabbed another string at the same time, so it doesn't happen too much here. Depends how sweaty your fingers are. If your fingers are really sweaty, then the other string that you're bending the G string, for example, and then the B string kind of slip underneath your fingertip. If you've got a scalloped fretboard, that won't happen, because you'll be able to get right over the top. So I'm still, I should show you guys this, because I'm still in the process of getting the neck made for this guitar. See, people ask me, people ask me about this, because literally I got this going years ago. I had a funding campaign for it in 2019, and it's a bit dusty because it's been sat there for a while. Yeah, I had a funding campaign to make this, and people asked me, how's it going with this guitar? Because the builder, I had one builder for making the body, and I was just talking to him the other day actually, and then another guitar builder was making the neck, because they both needed a lot of special attention. And the guitar builder making the body was an ingenious guy who could come up with all of these solutions of how to incorporate all these crazy ideas, and he had to then, his whole family moved to Spain. So from the UK, moved to Spain, and he had to set up his new workshop there. So that really delayed the whole thing by like a year or something. And then he was going to drive it back to the UK, but then the first lockdown happened, and then so he eventually kind of posted it back. That really delayed everything. So I didn't really get hold of the guitar until last year. And now things are just kind of starting to open up again. I need to now deliver it to another builder who's going to make the neck, and the neck will have a scalloped fingerboard, among some other special features to try to make it better for Indian classical music and the whole sort of bending style. So yeah, it's been a long process, and you start to wonder if it's ever going to be finished. But we've come this far. There's a lot going on. I've made a whole video about this as well. And see, there's even tuning machine heads in the back of the guitar and down here as well. And those are to tune the different sympathetic strings, and these are like extra Shakir strings on here as well. And then you've got different switches and controls there's pickups here, and there's also pickups underneath this that are for the Shakir strings. But there's a big video I made about this whole kind of project. How much does it weigh? Yeah, it's pretty heavy. It's solid walnut. It's like one big piece of walnut. It's really thick. So it's pretty heavy. As you can see, it's kind of like a Telecaster sort of shape, but it's a bit bigger than the normal Telecaster though, because it's got to fit in all of these controls. So yeah, the scallop fingerboard will really help the bending technique. But I'm getting on really well. I mean, also it's going to take me a while to get time to spend with the luthier to make the proper neck, because I kind of need to be there to help him to get, you know, just some of the basic ideas going. And he's super busy. He's really booked up, and his waiting lists are like 3 years long. So I don't quite know exactly when it's all going to be done. But I've got so content with the electric guitar, the Tokai, that I use, that there's really so much I can just do with this guitar. So in a way, I've started using this one with the Shakir strings, just as an experiment, just to see how it would sound. But I've just got so comfortable with it, and this is really my favourite guitar. I love the way it responds. So I've just got really content with working with this. I've played concerts with it, I've done recordings with it, and so I will eventually get that one done. But yeah, I'm kind of just become so happy with this guitar. I'd almost be sad to stop using it as my main guitar for Indian music, because I'm just kind of in love with it. But someone was asking earlier about the amp I use and pedal board. I mean, I could turn the webcam around for a moment, couldn't I? I made another video about my amp and and the pedal board. I could give you guys a quick peek. Basically, Roland Cube Street, which is it's like a Roland Cube, but it's got 2 speakers, so it's a bit bigger. It's got a bit more depth to it. Yeah, really cheap amp, right? But it just responds beautifully. I love the way that it responds. These little speakers that it's got in there, but they've got little tweeters built into them. They're a bit bigger than the ones in the standard Cube. They're a little bit bigger. So yeah, to me it's just perfect. And on stage it works really well, because I don't want the stage volume to be too loud. If you're playing with other acoustic instruments like a sitar or slide guitar or tabla, it doesn't really work if you're there with like a Fender Twin or with like a stack or something ridiculous like that. You need to be similar stage volume. I always had to, even with a little amp, I always had to be pointing it away so it wasn't too loud on stage compared to the other instruments, and it wasn't messing up their microphones and all that kind of stuff. So let me see if I can turn this around for a moment. It's all a bit messy back here because got loads of cables plugged in for the stream. So yeah, there's the little amp. It's going through a little SM57 SM57 Beta A microphone that's going into a little interface plugged into the computer, and there's a rather interesting little shell coaster that's just down there by the by the pedals. Sorry if I'm not holding this in the best place. Yeah, so I've just got a few on there, but basically what I'm using is Electro-Harmonix Crayon is giving just the slightest bit of drive. It's not really drive, it's just thickening up the tone a little bit, making it sound a bit more kind of plump. And then a little bit of compression, very light compression, and then a tiny bit of upper mid-range boost on MXR 6-band EQ. That's around 1.6k little boost. We've got a couple of other pedals that are just not being used or not hooked up at the moment. So yeah, that's just to add a little bit of colour to the tone. It's really just a clean tone, but again, when I was playing on stage, if it was just pure clean guitar, it just didn't have quite enough earth to it. It needed a bit more presence, but I didn't want to go overdriven, but it just needed to have a bit more body to it, and a little bit of compression really helps, especially if you're doing more kind of driving stuff. Like, let's try again. That kind of thing. The compression really helps just to even out the notes, and it just seems to make things land a bit more, especially when you're playing live. And when you play live a clean guitar, you're playing it in like a big room, it can often just feel like the sound is kind of just drifting away, and it doesn't kind of have the same like attack. So if you have a tiny bit of compression just to give it a bit more of that attack, then it just feels like the sound is a bit more present and it kind of like hits a bit harder. It's got more of that immediacy to it. But yeah, I love the electroharmonics pedals. I've always loved those. They seem to be really good at just, you can just get the right kind of sound. You can just tweak things. They seem to be very sensitive and very versatile, and they've always sound quite kind of warm and natural sounding. I guess that's their whole idea. Yeah. But I have got a video on my channel a bit further back about the a really in-depth sort of pedal demo. But there's not much going on, to be honest. It's just a little tweak here or there, so it's not the most exciting pedal demo. But for people that are kind of curious, a lot of the time when you're trying to get a kind of boosted clean sound, you don't really want to do too much with it anyway. You don't want to push it into, into a sound that feels more bluesy. You're trying to craft a tone that's more, it doesn't have as many connotations, it doesn't have as many connections to other styles, so it sounds like you can reinterpret the guitar in the way that works best for you, or whatever you're doing. But with the Indian classical approach, what I'm trying to do is actually get that kind of acoustic presence. That's why I really like this old Tokai from 1982, and these pickups are like, more vintage style pickups, so they've got a much lighter sound to them, and I think that they, to me, you hear more of the natural harmonics. They're not as driven, and the output's lower on them, and I think that lets the subtlety kind of come through. So I feel like you can really hear the nuances of the string. You can hear what the string is really doing, if it's hitting against the fret a bit differently, or if I'm sliding, or the difference between hammer-ons and pull-offs, and the way that you pick. All of those nuances come through. So you're trying to get as much of the sort of acoustic qualities of the instrument to come through. Hi Dougal Hill. He's a great friend of mine who's come on, and he's been advising me actually about different microphones. Hopefully the sound is the sound a bit better this time, Dougal. I hope so, because this one's public. I've been doing some other live streams for members of the Indian Classical Guitar Academy, and he's just been giving me a bit of feedback on how to improve that. With the Indian Classical Guitar Academy, I make courses on how to adapt Indian classical music to the guitar, focusing on particular raags. I always tend to use things that I've learned directly from my gurus, or things that I've taken a concept that they've showed me and then maybe expanded it into a different raag. So it's all things that I've taken the time to put together as kind of coherently and professionally as possible, and they're designed in different stages, so you work through the different courses and start to put together the right kind of left hand technique and the right hand technique, how to use the Shakir strings, how to do all of the different using these combinations of embellishments to get more of that vocal sound, and how to orientate a rag, how to move through a recital, different stages of a recital. So there's lots of things there, and you can subscribe, you can become a member to get access to all of the courses. That's on my website, indianclassicalguitar.com. I should have put a link in the description, but I didn't remember. But yeah, indianclassicalguitar.com, there's a link on the description of all of my other videos. And you can subscribe to become a member and get access to private live streams and tutorials, and all of the video courses are all available for the members, and there's new material every month as well. But I'm planning to do more public live streams on YouTube as well. This is the first one I've ever done, so it's kind of quite surreal. And I'm going to be doing full recitals, picking a rag or maybe two rags, and doing a whole hour of improvised music, building through the different stages of a recital. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Hopefully I hope to do one next week. on a Wednesday next week. I'm hoping to do a live every Wednesday. One week will be a performance, and the next week will just be like a shorter live stream, just talking, just answering questions or just talking to you guys about what's going on. So Axis Mundi is saying, yeah, okay, so you're trying with a double neck, try to use the tuning on double neck. Yeah, I'm not sure how exactly what you do with that. I don't have a double neck, but that sounds like a fun experiment. And that you've been really listening to a lot of Central Asian, Southeastern Asian music. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. Someone was asking me about, can you demonstrate, this is a bit earlier in the stream, someone was asking about, can you demonstrate bends in Indian music? So the thing about the bends is that on the sitar, we tend to pull the strings downwards. So you tend to do things like pulling them downwards and then getting more than one note on a fret. So if I bend to the second note and then to an extra note, and then try to release slowly to get these. Try to kind of dance around those notes and do different combinations. That's a really tough one because it's got a big difference between that note and then big difference to the next note. If you do another one, let's try. I'll try and stay in Bhageshwari, so I can play Sa Re, and then you have to skip Re to go to Ga. So I went from Sa Re, and then all the way up to Ga. Back, so it was like and changing the timing of the different bends, so doing things like, so it's a very gradual movement and then sort of quicker movements. So you're always actually moving between two notes, but doing it faster or slower. So always different combinations, trying to see what you can do, but it's all about the expressive quality of it. What you do is really driven by what the expression is behind it and how you're trying to make that come across. And you'll notice that I'm using the chikari strings as a little accent between the different parts of the phrase. Keeps reminding you of the tonal center, and it gives you something to contrast the note that you're embellishing always with that tonal center, and it creates that kind of texture because you can hear the kind of overtones coming out, rubbing against. against the held notes, the drone notes, you start to hear these little fluctuations in the overtones as the note that you're bending kind of brushes against those frequencies. So it's hard to describe. You really get so much more of that on the acoustic guitar, on the sitar with all the sympathetic strings. So that was kind of the idea of what we were trying to do with the modified electric guitar. That's still, you know, this one that's still a work in progress. So yeah, someone was asking about. I think I can just do one more question, and I have to go. Asking about Robbie Ingram, and he's Robbie Ingram. I hope I'm saying your name right, Robbie. Sorry, I know you've recently become a member of the Academy, Robbie Ingram. And he plans to cover a Phrygian-esque tonality. So that's rag biravi, the Phrygian. So you're finding that you're drifting towards that a lot when practicing. So the Cornwall Re flat second, Cornwall Gar flat third, 4 and 5, and then flat 6, Cornwall Da, Cornwall Ni flat 7, and Sa. So Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Ni, Sa, all the way up. That's the basic idea for rag biravi, but then we change a lot of notes. We can add in all of the different notes, so you can do things like. So Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Ga, Re, Ga, Re, Sa, adding the Re, that's the natural second. Re, Ga, and then the Re, Sa, and then the flat second again. And you can do that with all the different intervals. There's often you tend to do things like using the altered intervals. And then resolving back down to the flattened intervals, because it's got all of the flattened notes that you can do. Because in Indian music we don't flatten the 5 and we don't flatten the 4th, because that's just the same as playing the Ga. So it's using all the flattened notes. So we often do things like. So I was using all the different chromatic notes, but as I descend, I'm tending to use the Cornwall notes to descend. So something like. So going up and maybe using a bit of the natural 6, the 6th and the flat 7th, and then kind of swooping down to that flat 6th, and then that sends me back using the Cornwall Ga, the Shud Ga, major third, and then maybe like a dramatic drop down into that Cornwall Ga, the flat third, bit of the second, and then back to the flat second. Maybe using a bit of the major 7. Flat 2. So natural second. Flat second. So these are the kind of things you get in biravi. It's one of the more complicated rags to do. So yeah, I would like to make a course on that. I'll get round to it. I might end up just having a little look at that and then doing a tutorial talking about more key phrases. Because with that rag, you've got the ascending and descending order, which is just sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa all the way up and down, but as a Phrygian kind of scale. And then you can add in all of the different shuddha notes and the tivra ma. You can add all of those in, but they have to be done within the context of different phrases. So yeah, that's something that I'll probably be looking at soon with another one of our guitar courses. So I'm just going to answer one more question and then I have to leave it there. Okay. Modes, and I know my modes and various scales, and so on to a high level, I think. Okay. where should I start in Indian music as an advanced player? Okay, so someone who's got some real, so someone who's got some experience, they know all your modes and scales. So basically, yeah, you need to start looking at playing your scales, playing your modes as horizontal patterns. So if you know them all, you know them all in sort of box shapes, you need to start playing them more like and getting them more into that kind of orientation, learning lots of different patterns, and just doing a lot of scale practice, doing 2-string patterns or 1, 2. See, that's terrible, guys. I just need to practice basic scales. Sometimes I'm so busy just doing crazy stuff that actually just doing simple scales I forget to do. Yeah, so you need to get that kind of arrangement, I think, to make Indian music come out more, because when you play things in that kind of approach to the guitar, it comes out much more powerful, much more sitar-like and more vocal-like. And then you're looking at rag structures. So if you've got basic scales and modes, then you start looking at things like going up a scale, but then dropping some of the notes on the way up and adding them on the way down. So something like, if everyone knows the Dorian scale, what we call rag kafi, with the flat third, the Kumulgar, and the flat 7, the Kumulni. Then you need to learn about maybe a different rag, like I'm trying to remember the name of the rag now. It goes so on the way up, it's like the pentatonic scale. It's Bimpalasi, that's right. It goes up, Kumulgar, Mapa, Kumulni, Sa. So like a pentatonic with the flat 3, flat 7, and then on the way down adds all 7 notes of the Dorian. So these are the kind of things you get used to, and then you think about phrasing, going up like that, and then coming down like that. So you change the way that you think about going up and down. And then all the ornamentations I was talking about earlier, that's a really huge thing, doing ornamentations, and that's a totally different way to approach the guitar. All of the combining the slides and the bending, all of that kind of thing. That's really where the proper language of the Indian music comes in, to make it feel more like that style rather than just blues guitar or rock guitar. It's more about the ornamentations than anything else. Okay, I'm gonna have to leave it there, guys. But this has been really fun. The first time I've ever done a live stream. So yeah, please, support the channel, subscribe, tell your friends about it, and any musicians you think might be interested. Just, I'm still in really early stages of this, so just, if you help me to spread the word, and if you want to learn more about this kind of stuff, visit my website, indianclassicalguitar.com, and you can become a member of the Indian Classical Guitar Academy by subscribing. You can buy courses individually, or you can subscribe to access all of the courses, paying monthly. And I do extra live streams for my members, really in-depth tutorials. I mean, today I'm just kind of brushing over things, but in the live tutorials I really go into depth, and there's just hours and hours of video courses and all of the tablature to learn all the things, in the traditional way. So yeah, I mean, traditional way in terms of learning on guitar, if you can learn through tab, and then I talk you through more of the Indian way of doing it as well. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys, and next week I hope to do a live recital, live performance on YouTube, so hope to see you for that one next Wednesday. Okay, signing off, goodbye.